Hi everybody. So today we're doing my last review for the miniatures of the Dark Souls board game. I know there's like two more, I think, the expansions that I could check. But for now I think I covered pretty much those that were interesting me. The others maybe if I find them for cheap or something, I'll do a review for them. But for the moment we will finish this little bundle that I got. And we will finish with the Explorer expansion. So the Explorer expansion is pretty neat for a specific reason, and that reason is because the this is the box that comes with a miniature for the fire, the fire shrine, the tombstones, the chest for the board game. So, for me, the Explorer expansion, for me, the Explorer expansion kind of covered the scenery of whatever you want to put on display for your Dark Souls expansion. So if there's somebody that paints for making a display of Dark Souls, there's going to be a few things that are interesting in this one. If you just paint them for the look of it, it may feel not worth anything. Okay, beside maybe one or two characters if you're really a big fan of those, and that will be more related to Dark Souls 2. So if you were not a fan of Dark Souls 2 and you're not the type of person that loves scenery and you don't play the board game, that's not gonna make it. So yeah, so on this we'll open this up and we will see what we get. The first thing is, of course, booklet. Again, with all the information, and of course they're going to show us the miniatures and all the little add-on that it brings. So yeah, so this, let's move that to the side, there we go. Move this there, same thing here, and we will remove the whole thing. Getting better at this. Just put the box to the side and we'll remove the tape. One corner. Second corner. And the last one right there. Alright, and let's open the secondary light. Here. So what do we start with? Let's do the scenery first. So the first thing we'll do is the bonfire. So the bonfire isn't that bad. It's not the best looking bonfire, to be honest. We got a little skull right there to the side. I would have hoped that they would have kind of used the style of the first bonfire. But yeah, I guess it does something. We got a few bones here and there, but they are pretty tough to see. The details on it are not that great, to be honest with you guys. So even for scenery, we got a skull. There's a few things I'm not sure if they're bones or supposed to be like flames. It's more like a big mess than anything else. So yeah, bonfire, the scenery is not that great. We got a mold line that goes right across right there, right here, you see the line. And the sword itself, it's not that bad, but not really much definition to it, and it's nearly hard to distinguish from the rest of the details. So yeah, it's not that bad for the board game. So usually what you got on the board game, I wonder if I got something close by. Wait, so if you play the board game, you got those little wheel, and what you do, you got some white pins that combine the numbers with the monster. So you put the monster token over it and you pin it together, and that little slot will show you how much health that monster has. And it's the same thing with a bonfire. So if you're playing alone, you'll get 5 sparks. I mean, that means 5 resets. If you're 2, 3, it lowers the number of spark that's available. So for the bonfire, you got a wheel exactly like this one that goes from 1 to 5 or 0 to 5. And you got that wheel over the top that twists with a bonfire on it. But then they offer you this miniature to put it over. It's not bad, but I don't know. Maybe I would have modified this one so we could actually see the number. But for scenery, I guess it could pass, but it's not going to be front and center, right? So that's not going to be amazing, but still cool. You got a bonfire. So the other one are the treasure chests. So when you're playing the board game, you got tokens. And the tokens are really, really small. I don't have any around me, but yeah, the tokens are basically the size of this circle in the back. So when you enter a room, you put the chest on one of the section of the map, and that decide that there is a chest. And basically what it does, it prevents you from moving on this specific place on the board. So it's cool to have a chest. The chain is, well, it's turned on the right way around, so we know it's not a mimic. It is pretty cool. A few scratches here and there for the wood. So it's not bad. It's really a basic chest. It does exactly the job that you would expect from a scenery. Beside that, yeah, not too much of a mold line. Little defect right there. I'm having problems with the, there we go. So yeah, it's really simple. We'll just cover the others quickly. They're pretty much all the same. So like I'm telling you, this one is more something for the scenery, for somebody that wants to do really a design for his presentation of his miniature. Or if you're really playing the board game and you want to replace those tokens with chests. But I do not remember having so many chests on the board, but it could happen, right? There's usually like 4 boards, then you got the boss room and the bonfire room, so you could have 1 in each room. So yeah, 4 is not so bad. So for the gameplay, it's really more like a little add-on just to make it more cute, good looking. But beside that, it's not the end of the world, right? Just finished the last one. Like this. So yeah, same defect, same place. And this one got a little problem with the trimming right there. Will need to be cleaned, but yeah, it's not that bad. So let's check the barrels. So you got barrels that you can destroy in the board game and in the game itself. So that's pretty cool to have them around. And usually it's the same thing. You got a token on the board. If you got an assassin, you can actually dodge roll over that barrel and destroy it. And yeah, pretty much that's it. If you're just a normal character, you cannot damage it beside rolling into them to destroy them. Pretty simple. The top and the bottom are, whatever is the top, whatever is the bottom, really flat, no design on it. So I kind of sad. I would have wished like a top, just like they did on the chest, really to mimic that wooden pattern, but they didn't do it. So it's not the end of the world. We got a mold line standing across, and same thing on the other side. Beside that, they're just barrels, basically, and they're all the same, right? So we got 4 of them for this model, again with the mold line standing in the way. Oh yeah, I won't even check the others. So then we got those beautiful barrels with the tarp and the cables. I kind of like that. It's pretty sweet. can actually really work that around and really have a team with that. So that's pretty cool. So if somebody is really good with the scenery, you could actually like mix them together and do like a stack, and that'd be really nice. So even for Age of Sigmar or whatever the gameplay you want to play, Lord of the Ring, having those barrels, that's pretty sweet. So yeah, they look really nice. But again, the top is kind of, it's so weird because they made the design go over the top, but they didn't design at all the cover or the bottom of it. So yeah, to go to a certain point and stop, it's kind of sad. We got that little division where they glued the bottom of the barrel with the top part. So yeah, just keep an eye on it. It's pretty wide open when you look at it from side to side like this. You can really see it. Just check if the others are pretty much the same, and these seems pretty much the same too. You really can see that little division line. And this one is full of glue, and I don't know why. It's shining from the glue. I don't know if you guys can actually see that. Yeah, you can see it in the light. So I don't know why that one is so glued up. It's as if the cable actually disconnected and they glue it back in place. But yeah, so those are the barrels. Same thing with the two others. So last one for the scenery I'm gonna do is the tombstone or the gravestone. So the way it works in the board game, when you get in a room on the map, there can be a chest, barrels, and a tombstone. Once you finish the battle and there's a tombstone on the battle, it lets you see two moves that the mini-boss or the boss will do in the final fight. So the way it works, the boss will have a few cards that will, you choose about, I think it's 4 or 5 cards at random from a stack. And those are going to be his fighting pattern. So you mix them together, and after that, this is the pattern he's going to use all over in the fight. So you have to learn as a player what is the pattern so you know where to hide and how to attack him. And if you don't learn fast enough, or you're not too careful enough, you will die, right? So the tombstone, what it does, it gives you the chance to look at 2 of those movements he's going to make in the final fight. You don't know in which cycle or which order, but you know there's going to be 2 moves or 2 specific moves that are going to be swinging to his left and backing up one and stuff like that. So you know if you get in the room and you already know like what 25% or 30% of his move action, and the first card is something you didn't know, well now you know more than half of his attack. You got like 60% of all the moves he's going to do. So that's pretty cool. So the tombstone is really well detailed. A lot of wear and tear on it, maybe in excess, but it's not that bad. You can actually do something pretty decent with this. We can see the mold line going across. We got some leaves on the side of it. And then we move to the front, and again we got all those vines with leaves all across it that aren't too bad. They're kind of good looking. And again, the mold line that goes across. So yeah. The only thing I wish they would have done, a bit of diversity in the design themselves. They are all the same, exactly the same pattern, the same way. So it's kind of repetitive if you get them on the board. And it's the same thing for the barrels. There are 4 similar barrels, 4 similar barrels. The chests, it's fine, they're chests. Barrels, not so bad. Tombstone, I would have mixed them up. I would have tried different shape. Maybe one with just a logo on top of it. Maybe one of the Praise the Sun symbol or something like that. Really to, I don't know, bring a bit of diversity to it. But it's fine. It's not the end of the world, right? It's really more scenery, basic scenery that you put in the background for your display with the diaporama and for the board game, it's kind of cool having that instead of those small token with a design on it. So now we'll move to the Mimic. So this is our Mimic. And the cool thing about the Mimic, you would say, well, if I get on the board and I see this, of course that's a Mimic. I'm not gonna go for it. But the thing is this, in the gameplay, you put a normal chess, and once you get close to it and it's activated, this will pop. This is the real Mimic. And if you're defeated, this is what you leave behind on the map, because now you cannot be surprised again from the same chess. So now you know that this is the Mimic that's on the field. Pardon me. So we got a wooden pattern, same thing as before, pretty the same size as the normal chess, to be honest. Similar in design, but we got that opening to the side. And when we look for the chain, oh, the chain is not turned on the right way. So that's little details like this that makes it more fun to have around, right? We got the tongue sticking out of the Mimic, and we can see a little row of teeth in the back. It's not empty, it's actually really filled. So all the teeth are really tight, and there's no place really, there's no depth beyond the teeth, right? And to the side, as you can see, it's kind of molded together, so you don't have really a design on it. So you don't have any teeth to the side. But it's okay, it's not that bad. It's actually pretty neat. There's no much like mold line or little details, little problems with it. So it's a basic Mimic. So if you always wanted to paint a Mimic in the form of a chess, this is perfect for you. Now let's see the Mimic itself. And this is actually a really cool miniature. I really love this. It's really representative of the Mimic itself. So that is pretty cool. Beautiful design for the legs and the muscles. It's really well done. The only thing I can see, it's actually the line of the torso joining with the chest. We can see that little line. But beside that little joint, the rest of the body is fine. A lot of detail. Muscle are really well defined. The chain is good looking. Is the chain longer? Is it just me? And the chain is actually longer. Yeah, picky me, right? So anyways, so you still got that beautiful chain to the side, a bit longer than the original one. We got the teeth on the top. It's pretty cool, really well done. Looks like fingers actually grabbing over. We got some teeth around here and there, and we got the two arms that are weirdly popping out, kind of distorted in their shape, and a long tongue. So beautiful model, really well done. The mold line is actually over the leg right here, and it's really hard to see. It's actually not bad, really easy to trim. It is a really great model. They really did a good job on this one, to be honest with you guys. Really beautiful model. Up. Maybe we'll get the Firebomb Howler. Hollow. I said Howler, didn't I? So the basic Hollow from Dark Souls 1 that keeps throwing bombs at you from afar. That is the nightmare of everybody. And seems not bad. We got a small mold line over the arms with the bomb, but it's not bad. Full chainmail. Body looks pretty fine, like in the mid-throw. We got a little lantern to the side of his belt. The sword is straight, that's another thing. And the mold line goes across his face right there. But then again, it's not that bad. The eye socket are deep enough. Oop, can I? Come on. So the eye sockets are pretty deep, so you can actually work with it. There's no nose whatsoever. They got a small hole that looks like a nose, but I do not think that this will be enough for making a darkened nose, like a hole. The mouth is there, the ears, and just be careful for that mold line to the side of his face when you're cleaning, not to remove any small details. So the face is really, it's okay. It's not super detailed, but it's better than most faces that we saw in the first expansion. We got a bit of a design on the chest piece, but it's more like a smudge than anything else. So it's really hard to see. It's not that great. But beside that, the rest of the body is fine. So yeah, not bad as a model. Like I said, mold line that goes across, maybe clean that. Beside that, it's really the basic monster in the first one we kind of encounter when we play Dark Souls. So if you really want a classic monster, I guess this will be the one. The sword is kind of crooked on this one though. Don't know if you can actually see that. It's kind of warped. But beside that, same complaint, mold line, nose not really present. And yeah, next one. Pretty much the same thing. This time the sword is really crooked. See how it bent back way. That would need to be straightened back. But yeah, little defect on the leg right there. It's not the end of the world again, but yeah, it's not fun having to do more work than you should for something as basic as a monster like this. Let's finish with this Silver Knight spear, and then we'll do the Pursuer. So the Silver Knight spear, first thing, spear is a bit crooked to the back. Got a little defect right there that needs to be cleaned. We got the, not sure if it's a connection for the mold line or if it's actually the plastic or the resin under stress that made that line. The shield is actually really well done. Really beautiful design, really deep enough to do a lot of details. I got a little problem here with the hand. There is like a really weird plastic dot, like if something broke. Not too sure if you can see it now. Weird. So the hand itself looks like more like a big rock instead of actually fingers. But beside that, the chest piece is well done, well divided. The chainmail is good looking. The helmet is one of the best looking helmet I saw for the Silver Knights up to now. No defect whatsoever. We're really well divided. Details are good, and we can actually see those little line kind of feathers on the horns. So that's actually pretty sweet. We got a small mold line that goes over the shoulders and go down on his leg. Cape is exactly the same as we saw on the other ones. It's really more like a square with a bit of wind to the side. Still not the end of the world, but at least they're constant, so they're always the same. So if I put many of them of different class beside one of another, they kind of match together, but they kind of blend together. So yeah, beside that, of course, like I said, mold line again, and yeah, it's okay. It's not bad. Really kind of sad for that spear, but we'll see. Let's say on this one looks in better shape. Spears looks pretty straight. It's actually not bad. We don't have the problem with the plastic, no defect on it, so that's actually pretty sweet. The cape looks dirty, but it's not the end of the world. We got that little problem beside the mold line right there. That must be the injection spot. Let's check on this one. Yeah, this one had it too. You can see right there. So yeah, it's gonna be hard to clean because you don't have much space between the shield and the cape. So, that's gonna be tricky. Tricky. Beside that, shield looks good. Helmet's still really fine. Good looking again. Mold line over the pauldron. But beside that, it's actually not bad. It's actually better looking than the first one. Now the last one. Small defect at the bottom of the spear. It's not the end of the world. Beside that, the spear looks pretty straight. Shield is fine. Seems, yeah, it's not just me. If you look at it, this side, see how the shield is close to his face, right? It's nearly in an angle. When you look at this one, it's not as close. You actually got a third of an inch, a quarter inch further from his face. So it's kind of crooked. So it brings a bit of a difference, but at the same time it's kind of weird, right? Having them, it's different. So yeah, again, defect in the mold line right there. Injection spot for the resin. Mold line from over the top that goes across on the pauldron. Come on, there we go. Helmets looks fine. Again on the other pauldron. And this one's going to be harder to paint the chest and the face, since the shield is kind of glued to his face. But at the same time, it kind of hide that problem with that left hand. So yeah, not so bad. They're actually really good looking. I believe those are better looking than the others, the other Silver Knight that we saw before, just because of the helmet is so well done and the shield is balanced with it. On the others, we had the one that came from the expansion for the armor set, and the face wasn't that great looking. They had a problem with the mouth, so I didn't really like that, but those are good. And now finally we'll finish with the Pursuer. So if you play Dark Souls 2, this is the guy that is being dropped by an eagle and that chase you all over the game, and that you throw your, well, depend if you wanted to use the ballista against him, but yeah, you throw your pretty much everything you got against him. Sword, really good looking. I really love that little design in the sword. That is really, really cool, and I never realized. And now I wonder if it's actually in the game. We got on his back that container that got an axe and a few arrows. On the chest, we got a few screaming faces. I don't know if you can actually see that. They are well detailed and really, really good looking. That is pretty sweet. I'll try to drop the light a bit just to see if we can actually see a bit more details on it. Good looking. Really, really good looking. Really love this. Of course, the shield is all damaged, been scratched, because it's always using it to push people around. The armor with the cloth in the back. That is really, really neat. Really love the design and the pattern. He's standing on the top of a rock. And I kind of like that because it's a character that moves fast. So having him just with a little toe on the ground to keep in balance would have been a bit weird. So with the rocks, it really gives him that feeling of strength in his push, right? So that is pretty cool. The helmet got a little, it's not that bad, but you can actually see the glue part between the helmet and the chest, but it's not the end of the world. The details of the helmet are a bit tiny. It passes, but you have to be careful when you're doing them. Beside that, small mold line over the top here, and small mold line over the top right there. So yeah, let's reactivate. I think I may have lose my mic again, but anyways. So we got a small mold line actually on the rocks, and you can see it right there. So that will need to be worked. But beside that, and all around of this model, really straight, good looking, not too heavy. I know the Pursuer is not a monster that, or a boss that sticks out compared to the others, but he is really good looking and he got a lot of strength in his movement, so that makes him a really beautiful model. This pretty much complete my whole review of those Dark Souls board games or expansions. So what do I say about this one? It's more about scenery. For me, the Pursuer is not something that's popular. The Mimic is really more like, some people will want it, but not more than that. So if you want a few designs for scenery and etc., I don't believe this is the kit that you should get. If you play the board game and you want those little add-on because you want a Mimic, you want a Pursuer, okay, it's worth it. But just as a painter, there's nothing in this that really attracts me beyond the others and will pull me. So it's really in my last position for my reviews. And in a way it's kind of cool, but in another, beside the gameplay, there's nothing really out there. I wouldn't tell somebody to pay 50 bucks for this. So yeah. Is it worth it? I don't know. I'll be honest with you guys. I believe it's really a personal choice at that point. It's really like I'm saying, if you want really the specific sceneries from Dark Souls, but from there, barrels, tombstones, you can get better designs from a 3D printer or from an STL than those. So if those can be covered easily, that comes to the Bonfire, the Mimic, and the Pursuer. Because those monsters, the Silver Knights, are all over the place in all the other expansion. And the basic hollow bomb throwers, it's not at the end of the world. We already got the archers and the crossbows, and so yeah, so if the Bonfire was a bit more detailed, if they made maybe 4 different set of 2 barrels in different shape and different tombstones, I will change my idea. But right now, this isn't great. It's really more a filler for your Dark Souls board game. So if you got the main game and you're tired of those tokens on the field, because it gets confusing, you got barrels token, you got chest tokens, and you're not too sure traps token. So instead of having all of those, you can actually put the tombstone on the field, and you can actually put the chest on the field. So at least you get a bit more diversity than just full of token all over the place. So this balanced the main board game as being more enjoyable. But for painting and miniature itself, it's a meh. It's meh. That's it. That's on from 1 to 10. It's a meh. Not more than that. They're cool. The Mimic is cool. The Pursuer is cool. The others are clean. I'm really happy of the design for those characters. They're not too damaged compared, or warp weapon compared to the others. But like I'm telling you, this for me, it's not worth more than 10 or 15 bucks. And it's really more for your own personal fun of playing the board game, or if you really want to have those little details in the scenery that are specific to Dark Souls, and you're not ready to go to a 3D printer or ready to buy an STL file who asks somebody to print for you. So on this, I hope you guys enjoyed this. This was my last review for the Dark Souls board game. And I hope to see you guys around. I'm not sure if I'll keep going. I know there's a few more expansion, but we'll see what time. Right now, I think I covered enough for us to know what type of miniature that comes with it. I could do actually a review of Gloomhaven. Actually, I got a box that I found not too long ago, and I got a few miniatures that we could cover at the same time. So on this, I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope to see you guys around.